Alright, so in this one we are going to doing my Dragon Ball Legends mid-October 2025 top 10 tier list here, and Ultra CMZ exists, and he has shaken things up very greatly. As every Ultra does do, they usually make a lot of differences happen on tier list, and this guy is no further apart from them. Though it did look, there's 3 Ultras already in the game that are already in the top tiers. How is this guy really going to mesh things up? That was the worry on initial droppage of reading his kit and seeing what he is. But he has done it. We'll just get into it here. With it being only 10 units here, I could easily, and I will mention after I put my number 10 slot units that have arguments, but these are the ones I am most confident in saying that are top 10. Again, there's some that can make the 9-10 slot. That's really like the cutoff point, right? 8 through everything else, kind of more solidified. 9-10, it's more up in the air than not, realistically. But number 10 will be Ultra Super Vegito. Now, let me just mention the other characters that could make it. I don't even have them included here because they're not relevant enough to make it for me, but you could add them. I've seen talks of Blue UI, which I do want to test him more. I'm not sure how well he'll work. Blue, Purple could be a decent team of 13 Blue UI CMZ. I've seen Kefla. I've seen maybe even Ultra Cell talks, and I'm not gonna, I'm sitting here glazing Ultra Cell, no way, Jose. But maybe try him out because he is on A tier boost now, since he is future, and every future unit that's not in the higher tier boost or featured is an A tier. So maybe there's something to him. We shall see in the coming days. But for me, USV is number 10. I did run USV alongside both CMZ and MZ here, as well as MZ being as strong as he is. Big impact character right now. And USV was like this on vacation. So, I mean, what do I really do with that for a character? It's more so just kind of my argument point. Like, am I going to run Goku, Kefla, or USV? Well, Kefla, got to deal with CMZ right now, and that's going to be a problem, because CMZ, you're running into a lot. CMZ is very common. You're running into CMZ more than any other Ultra right now. That's what I'll say for free. As well as Goku. Pure GT, I'm not really striking as a chord of contention. It doesn't really do anything crazy. It's probably still like a top 5 best team, but it's like number 5. So I'm thinking a character that walls versus a character that's reliant on their Ultra to carry them, of UV4, or Kefla, who is disadvantaged to the arguable best unit in the game. And I'm going to stick with the character that walls that can flow with the best unit in the game. I don't see a reason you even put Kefla on the team of fusions, because I'd rather have a wall of USV than have Kefla be disadvantaged. And then, again, she only goes neutral against, like, Goku's for 10 counts on ult. Like, it's some obscure thing, and it's terrible. It's terribly obscure because it's terribly, well, non-existent. You even look at this list here. There's not many Gokus. There's 2 Gokus on here, and spoiler, they're not in the top 3. So it's, it's a bit of a problem for Kefla there. So USV makes it, it's just, again, more of a pity placement than anything else. You can have a couple of units here, Blue UI, Cell, Kefla, Goku, whatever. There's options that exist, sure. USV, I feel, is the strongest candidate. He is just one of those Ultras that you don't really fight often, but if you do fight him, he will cause you a bit of a nuisance. If you were to run that CMZ, MZ, USV team that I use, very easy to have a battle of attrition where you're going to go to timer, which USV would help you with. He also could hurt you because his damage is not that great, but still he could help you with that as well. But I think he makes number 10 there. There's just not many great options. Looking past the top, 13, there's almost no option in this game to run. So the game is kind of, top heavy right now, as it has been for years. But move on to number 9, with it being Super Saiyan 3 GT Kid Goku. This guy, wow, what a fall off. Holy shit. Wasn't this guy like top 5, 4, some shit like that? You have the Ultras that exist, and then boom, an LF appears. And I think this guy was number 4, then Cooler, and Namek and all of them were like, they're rather cooler, and then Gamas, and then Tag 4s, Goku, all of them are kind of like the subsidies to him afterwards, after his initial release on boost, and I'm pretty sure he's actually still on boost. He just is so frail. Like, when Cooler was being run more often, and Cooler definitely has taken a wayside as LFMZ is better, but we'll get into that when we discuss both. But even Cooler could 3-card snipe GT Super Saiyan 3 Goku. While I do understand his damage is fine and it's good, and even so that, yellows are not doing the most ideal thing right now, in their positioning of the meta because of the strong reds. There's 3 reds on this list, and they are all higher than this unit right here. It's just more so like, GT, again, it's so one unit heavy. It's not like Namek Saga. Namek Saga was both Ultras, and then Krillin being that Majin Ku-esque, supporter third. And Majin Ku was better individually than Krillin, but still, that premise was there. With GT, it's, okay, here's Bamaku Attack Force, which is just a whatever character. Here's Super Saiyan 2 GT, and here's UV4, who was number 1. Okay, he's the number 1 guy that exists at the time. And now, look at it where, yeah, sure, UV4 is still dominant and still very good. Nothing really changed for his value right now. I wouldn't say anything went, negative toward him. It's just more so positives for others. But it's just a top-heavy team where you just don't really need to run pure GT. Like, I just preference, if I'm going to run UV4, I'm running him on a leader slot. If I'm going to run Frieza, he's running leader slot, right? You're going to run any of these Ultras that aren't CMZ, because CMZ actually has a team within, like, a PO Future build. They're all leader slot characters. Right? I mean, guess Namek Goku technically not because he's Saiyan, but, you're not running him on a set-up perfect 10 out of 10 team for Namek Goku regardless. And I just feel that, where GT3Ku isn't going to be run with UV4 because UV4 just has a better team that's not with him, then he has to dwindle. Being as squishy as he is doesn't help. Kefla has the same issue with her squishiness. It isn't really, like, just optimized. Again, this 9-10 slot is just a whatever character slot, and from moving on here, it becomes much more, discussable of what's going on, but these two, it's whatevers. So he stays there, and then we move on to number 8, with it being Zenkai Cooler. Yeah, the hits he has taken is not even his own fault. It's not even bad. I mean, listen, I'll say it right here. The second best LF that's red is Zenkai Cooler, as you can see from this list. And if you don't have LFMZ to, well, if you don't have him in general, because he is only, 9 months old, wherever he is, 8, 9 months old, if you don't have that guy, run Zenkai Cooler. That's your secondary option. There always will be that time and place where you gotta just discuss to yourself, okay, I don't have the primary, what's the secondary? What am I gonna run instead? And these bottom tiers are gonna be secondaries to your primaries, at least for the most part, where it's a secondary team and they have a better team, the primaries, moving forward. Cooler is your secondary option on, let's say you want to run 13 CMZ, and you don't have LFMZ, so you run Cooler instead, and you leader slot your CMZ, then you get the Zenka buffs, and everything is all hunky-dory, because everyone buffs PO, and they're all PO, right? Sure, but that's exactly it. LFMZ, and again, we'll go into his detail when we get to him, but LFMZ is so dominant, where you just would never run Cooler over him. I assumed MZ's plat, might be a little subpar, then it drops in details, you're kind of hoping to see greatness, and after using him for just a few days here, yes, MZ has the Goku treatment. MZ is the 2025 Goku. Goku's 2024 Goku. This guy is 25 Goku with the glow up of gods. He wasn't having the lowest low of Goku. Goku was even considered top 10 for a lot of people, if not barely. MZ got, at least, I think he was like 7, 8, 9 slots on his initial release. I know he was slandered, but, he was still in top 10. God fucking damn it, So, his glow up is just so high that Cooler just becomes a secondary, and right now, how the best teams are working and the best team in the game, which I already stated would be that blue, red, purple of PO, without Cooler, how it works is there's so much attrition, there's so much healing, there's so much supporting going on, and Cooler has great snipe potency on units that don't really have much going on in their health restore and all that jazz going on. As well as, if Namek Goku takes a hit, which a new red just dropped, and CMZ has good anti-Namek Goku mechanics as well, you're going to assume Cooler, who's a Super Saiyan wannabe killer, if there's less Nameks in matches, then Cooler goes down because he's not as neutral as often, he's not doing this, that, and the other as often. Namek and 13 could be a duo, and then now, because of how this new team works, you're not going to run to Namek, and it's going to be 13. Well, now you went from neutral Cooler the entire game to disadvantage Cooler in a lot of spots, and that would dwindle his value as well. So the snipe potency isn't as impactful as it is in prior, as well as more so than that, a better red exists, so you run the better red. That's just a simple way to do it. And then we move on to number 7, with it being a sip of coffee real quick, because this is an interesting spot, I would say. Great, fantastic. Would be the Gamas. The Gamas actually get a pretty big buff here. CMZ, how he does work is, he does have obviously some offense neutral, some defense neutral, but let's say you get his final counter off, and you can obviously play for who you're going to, get it landed on, same thing Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, but you play it where it's the Gamas get hit by it, okay, it does no damage, sure, there's the paralyze, there's the annoyances, but again, how Gamas work, and 13 works on every single team in the game, let's not, misconstrue, but Gamas really work well with 13, obviously. So 13, he switches to standby, and this is a point for 13, but it's also a point for the Gamas because they work with him and they're meant to be together. You run it where 13 switches to standby. Okay, all that paralyzed shit's gone. Gamas obviously being the type advantage to CMZ. That disruption that CMZ can create when he's below 50%. You can tag switch out. You can time your tag switch to be, okay, he 50% proc, I tag switch, I get more cards, I get more 50% proc. You can do those things to kind of circumvent ways around him. I'll probably do a video using the Gamas on what I would consider their best team in, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but for now, just to speak on them, they do have ways to kind of hurt CMZ. I don't think there's a perfect counter to him. I know that if there is the best counter, it is this character. But then again, you have to counter out the whole team. Gamas won't get insta-murdered by MZ. It's not great, obviously. MZ is the threat of PvP right now. It's either a juiced UV4, which is not very often you're going to run. What you're most likely going to run into is just a normal-ass LFMZ. He is the threat of your life. And Gamas can do okay against that. They do have 13 there. He doesn't have, I don't think he has offense neutral, Mr. LFMZ. So there's a little bit of leeway going on. Gamas' best team most likely would end up being UV4 leader. Gamas and 13. Some people might opt to run Frieza instead of UV4 there, but it's still going to be Gamas, 13, whatever third. You want to run Ultra Cell? Go fucking crazy. You want to run CMZ, he has 10k or less than 10k stack gap? Go crazy. Do whatever the hell you want. GC3Q, don't recommend, go fucking crazy. But the Gamas are a very good option to CMZ, and CMZ is one of the best units in the game, so it kind of just helps out how they work in the current meta more so than they have previously, because Cooler could easily victimize the Gamas. You play random defense neutral, runs out, boom, Cooler victimizes. Well, here at least you can go into your 13. MZ has no ways to lock in and snipe characters unless, good timing, main ability, drop combo, whatever, catch them on a sidestep. Cooler ways to snipe characters MZ does not have, so it becomes where Gamas are a little bit more allowed to exist in a freer sense. That's really it. They're not really perfect, but they're the best you got. If you're trying to beat out CMZ or you're struggling, the Gamas are going to be your best option. But we move on. I actually had this very, very debated for a bit here for 6-7. I know. But I had a debate here just, within myself for a good minute of who makes it. I was going to swap these two. I swapped them back and forth so many times while debating this list, but I ended up staying true to what this is here, with it being Namek Goku is 6. Again, I very closely debated these. I was going back and forth between, because I just explained everything with the Gamas. And Namek is really hurt. I mean, you look at the bottom of this list, not even characters placed. CMZ has anti-Namek Goku mechanisms. They lock CMZ in, he seals their strike, blast, blues. Twice he does that. That's a very bad thing for Namek Goku. He's going to switch out. They land a green card, his cards are still sealed, and then he has to switch out. That's Namek Goku against CMZ. And that's a purple to a yellow. 13, he's going to reduce his ki. He's going to seal his main. So they can't even ultimate if they're fighting CMZ and 13, which is the best duo in the game. At least, for a color synergy sake of blue-purple. And then, UV4 is a God Red. MZ is a God Red. As well as even Mr. Number 8 here, Cooler, can still victimize Namek Goku to a very high degree. And despite all that, I still find myself able to put him at number 6. Again, I'm very, very debating on this slot stuff here of 6-7, but I give the hat off to Namek Goku. He's not, incinerated because of these things. He still has his KO guard safety mechanism. That's not gone within these units' existence of being anti to him or having, things that hurt him. And also, let me just mention, because people really don't like this premise, but Namek Goku's toxic. KO guard ruins team building. When he first dropped, you were running into teams that didn't make any safety, but KO guard was the only safety, and that's it. It ruined team building for months. A few months. Up till now, recently, honestly, because this is where he's getting his biggest, push down that he's ever received. He ruined team building. While Frieza is more annoying, and we'll touch on Frieza when we get to Frieza, Namek Goku ruins team building. The other two do not ruin team building as much as Namek Goku, because a safety for every character in the game is not a positivity factor. It's just more of an annoyance, nuisance factor. On top of his very annoying kit of lock-in, whatever the fuck. You can think Frieza's more annoying. You can have that opinion. Go for it. You can think any of them is more annoying. UV4, Frieza, Namek, because I think they're all on the same tiers. But for team building sake, it's already shitty when Ultras drop. Namek Goku made it even worse. He needed to get, like, a lot of shit against them. Now, did it need to be fucking 5 characters? No, but it is. Again, his safety's still there. You could still run Namek Goku, CMZ, and 13 if you don't have MZ. Or if you want to run Namek Goku, 13, or MZ and CMZ because you don't have 13, you can still do that. That's what you can do. That's what you should do. You don't have 13, run Namek Goku. Like, that's the same premise of role, obviously. A bit shifted, but same premise is there. That's really it, though. He just has that safety role. He's not really doing anything on an output setting. I've fought him. I've fought him very few times because, you know, people are running the best team in the game, and he's not on it. But I've fought him, and he just does nothing. I actually had a match where it was just, here, CMZ's in. Okay, Namek Goku AoE greened me. Cool, great. Nothing happened. They swapped their UV4. UV4 couldn't do any cards because I had 13's disrupt, and then the combo was done. And I was just like, oh! And then all he did for the rest of the game, he landed 4 AoE greens on me and landed maybe 3 to 4 cards. And the match went to timer, my CMZ was never dead. That's what Namek Goku did. It was a 14-star Namek Goku. And I was just like, the fuck's he gonna do? You could have him get 2-carded by CMZ. Strike, ult, get him to be neutral, boom, blasted, dead. KO guard gone? Okay, MZ's gonna rule over. MZ's gonna 2-card him anyways. Even CMZ can do it. It's a troublesome spot. 13 with the sub-count manip on the green card, 2 Goku characters into CMZ blue, or LFMZ blue card because it's a ranged one. It's a problem for Namek. Again, he's still up here. He's still in the high tiers because I would say anything above top 6 is high tiers, you know, 6 and up. But it is trouble. You should not run Namek Goku if you can right now. It's not ideal. If you have to, sure. But if you have other options, please run those other options. You just won't have a good time with Namek Goku right now. Then we move on to number 5, which, funny enough, is actually Ultra Full Power Frieza. As I mentioned, I'll touch on his details, and the reason he goes down is CMZ. It's simple how it works, where Triple Ultra is, you know, of the typical UV4, Frieza, and Namek Goku. Sure, that's a thing that people were running, and now that we have a full color wheel against it, it's clearly going to get worse. And it's already kind of been a bit weird, especially with these two getting off their featured boost of Frieza and Namek Goku. So it's always been kind of like on a steady decline, but now this kind of just like full halt that team. You know, if you're running CMZ, okay, well, here's CMZ versus Frieza. Here is 13 against Vegeta, because Vegeta has like 2 counts neutral. That's all he has in his kit, at least for the majority of it with the switch tech. And then LFMZ to Namek Goku. I mean, it's not difficult to get potential of kills very fast. It's not difficult for you to not get rushed because you have CMZ's protection, 13's protection, MZ, you know, sealing mains, destroying Dragon Balls, getting Vanish back multiple times. You have a lot of ways to kind of just ignore Rising Rush from existing. And Frieza is not going to be as down as he once was. You know, with UV4, you're contemplating this leader slot thing of him on androids or something similar to that. And it's going to be the same vibe for Frieza. Well, if you want a leader slot Frieza, just put him on an android team. Sure, run it with Gamas and 13. You can do that. Run, I don't know how the fuck you do it, but run UV4. I guess you could do UV4 Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Frieza, I guess. I mean, I don't know how the fuck's that going to work, but like, sure, you could do it. It's probably not ideal because you have a very squishy third, and if he dies, your rotations are all fucked, and then it's going to go to hell. But the whole point of Frieza, that why he goes down, is not just because the team that he builds, it's the team that CMZ is. You know, LFMZ is a really good tank right now. CMZ is type advantage. Frieza has very, 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 very minuscule neutral. The most neutral on Ultra that exists right now is actually Namek Goku, and it just takes a couple of gauges to get, but he'll get it every single entry of those gauges into that mid to later game. Again, the issue with him, though, without that setting, is that he's victimized by 5 other characters. So it kind of goes to a yin-yang thing of, well, this guy can't do it, this guy can't do it, so one or both have to go down, and Frieza has to go down. His ideal team of that Triple Ultra kind of falls. Why would you not just put UV4 instead of him if you're trying to build a team that is going to be a leader slot team of an Ultra, because they are both ranged. UV4 is better than Frieza, just on an actual basis of coloring right now, as well as just damaging. I would say UV4 definitely outdamages Frieza. Frieza defends better, but UV4 attacks better pretty easily. And again, if you can't neutral with Frieza, this is what it takes. It's very simple. This was not difficult for Frieza to go down. Frieza needed a top tier purple to drop, and he's going to go down. I've been saying this for a minute. It happened. It's inevitably going to happen, and it happened. CMZ is going to wall him off, and Frieza is going to go down. And that's exactly what's happening right now. There's nothing changing that. That's just a fact of how it's going to go. And that's what's going on right here. So Frieza goes down from those top tiers all the way down to number 5, which is good. It is not a top 3 fucking Ultra Bonanza here. Now, it's not far off, but it's not a top 3, which is, you know what, good enough for me. Number 4, though, will be Android 13. Actually, heavy contemplation on the number 4 and 3, which you can probably guess who's number 3 from this, right? Surely. But before then, explanation of 13, we must coffee break real quick. Beautiful, stunning, splendid. 13, why? He does everything. I mean, on the support category, of course. That's what he's meant to do. He's supporting every team. Even stats, you want to put him with Frieza, Namek, anyone on this tier list. No one's going to stop you. You can put him with anybody in the team, anybody in the game, and he does his role always, every single time, without failure. Though, I will mention even more so of a plus point is you won't even Zenkai buff him. I mean, you can, you know, Kid Buu, Zenkai buff, DBS, Broly, whatever else exists. Those are the main 2 that you'd run. 1 strike, 1 blast, right? But you don't even need Zenkai buff him. And he actually has the benefit of being one of the first LFs to be, LFMZ as well, but one of the first new LFs to be on that new tier boost. I haven't had to mention it yet, but he is there where he is getting that extra, what is it, 15%, 12%, or 10% health based on your stars on this character. And I mention it because my 13 is 5 stars. And this guy is 3.3 million health before even reviving. That's a lot of fucking health, right? It's very simple to have, and he has that, and that gives him a lot more staying power, a lot more, obviously, you know, sustainability, and he's running on a team with the best team in the game. How it always works with these best teams in the game is there's kind of like that, you know, third backline character, not doing too much offense, but they're doing a lot of utility, and it's really helping at the end of the day. That's 13. You kind of have that middleman that's doing really good damage, but not as godly damage as the first man. And then they're also doing utility. That's CMZ. And then LFMZ is doing that godly damage, but having utilities in case, you know, things go hairy. Because, well, what if LFMZ is going to get rushed? Okay, well, CMZ can just stop that shit. What if you're going to be fighting another 13? Okay, well, you have CMZ as kind of that middle damage dealer. There's off options and off ways to deal with other stuff. When you have a color synergy, blue, red, purple, something that actually covers each other as well, where you like it as this premise of a supporter, a middleman, and a godly damage guy. But the utility on that godly damage is a bit lower than the others. And MZ has very good utility, it's lower than the others on a defensive spectrum of this rush happened, this bad setting happened, this disrupt. MZ's is going to be the worst of the 3 just because of the nature of him being an offense god. Though, again, he's not even far off from them on his utilities. So, 13, the flow of so many teams in the game. I mean, you could compare this to an LFSA, a Puddle, a Red Pan. That's 13. It's very simple. I like to say that 13 is Puddle and LFSA, boom, together, became a modern character, and this is the result. That's the simplest way I could put it, because he does both. He has a safety that Puddle had an endurance, as well as LFSA's crazy support, and Puddle support kind of meshing. That's what 13 is doing. It's just that you have to do cards instead of take cards. But that's it. It's not rocket science, not difficult. If you're fighting a Namek Goku, he becomes even better just because that sub-cow manip that he can offer really gives a lot of snipe potency. And if you're not fighting Namek Goku, again, just run him as that off third. And being a big safety as well as a big just god to support and helping your team do crazy damage. Then we get to the top 3. And again, I contemplated this for a minute with 13 and MZ, but I end up rounding out MZ here because after using MZ without 13 support, because that is 50% support at peak very consistently in a match, but just want to see him without it. Used him with USV. This guy is not a support merchant. He's feature boost, by the way. He's not A tier. So A tier would actually give more than featured on a damage setting, right? And a damage guard setting, actually. This guy's in featured. So he's only getting 10% damage guard. He's not going to be reliant on boost. He's debuffing a fuck ton, so he's not reliant on the damage from boost. He's not going to end up being a boost merchant, kind of like other characters. Given 10% damage guard is more than 0, he's not going to be a boost merchant like others. MZ's God. This is the only character I really fear consistently. Yeah, I mentioned UV4 Glaze, but you're really not going to fight a UV4 Glaze. That's kind of just a very off team. And even then, the characters alongside him, it's usually like Kaioken and Namek. And, you know, what the fuck do I care about Kaioken and Namek Goku? They're nothing characters right now comparably to MZ. But that's it. It's a typical LFMZ, or it's that. And that's all that matters in matches right now. This guy controls everything. His gauge being as good as it is, his sustainability being good as it is, his defense, his offense, his disruption being as good as it is, his vanish bags, his movable Dragon Balls, his green and blue seal, his partnership of CMZ as well as of 13 there. You could even flow him on different teams if you want to. I mean, no one's stopping you from running, you know, some off teams with him. It's just the optimal would be, again, that kind of movies, rather PO/future team with 13 on leader slot. And then everyone else just, you know, doing the Zenkai buffs. You want to 2x him, 1x him, do whatever the hell you want. He has good Zenkai buffers with, you know, CMZ, Red Rose, Apeless, blah, 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 or rather, Red Ape, blah, 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 blah. This guy is just doing it all. This is the only unit I fear in a match. I mean, CMZ can have his moments to fear when he's getting his timer gauge and, you know, they're 50% below, and then he had the card draw speed stuff. The majority of the match, this is the unit I fear. LFMZ, again, is the new God Goku. God Goku peaked at this area. He peaked at that 2-3 area. I believe it was 3. It might have been 2, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. And LFMZ's right there. He got the same synergy of Glow Up, and, well, funny enough, he got much less than God Goku, to be fair, because God Goku got literally, like, what should have been his kit got added to his kit, plus 100%. And then MZ got, like, what should have been his kit, plus, like, 70%. So, this guy's a god. I originally thought that, you know, oh, we're going to run to Namek Goku too often to where, you know, Cooler's going to need to be relevant. Well, Namek Gokus aren't running around. This team is better that MZ's on, so MZ's going to be better by a large margin. You could see 3 to 8. That's a sizable gap there. And I've seen discussions of people saying MZ is better than CMZ. Again, I'll get into discussion of that, but we get CMZ, but this is where he stays for me. Number 3. LFMZ is a god. But let's just put the 1/2, and it will be very easy. I don't think this tier list has any real controversial spots. I mean, I don't see it here. With it being UV4 number 2 and CMZ number 1. Talk about UV4 real quickly. Again, as I mentioned, pure GT, I'm just not a fan of right now. I don't see anything to it besides UV4 is getting support glazed, and that's why he's looking like a god there. But again, the allies there kind of suck comparably to whatever else. I mean, one's barely top 10, and one's not even top 10, in my opinion. So, don't like that team for him. I like him on the leader slot with 13 and Gamas. I think that's a much better team for him. Again, then the issue arises for him. He's not as glazed. He's not getting the Zenkai buffs. He's not getting the... I guess he's getting the same equips, but he's not getting as much force focus as he would on a GT team. So, I think he dwindles a little bit there, and it more so goes to the point of CMZ just has a better roster. You know, I'm thinking of UV4, 13 Gamas, then I'm thinking of CMZ, MZ, 13. I easily will say that CMZ, MZ, 13 is better than, you know, the game is kind of lowering the threshold there, but the Gamas are weighing the other team down. Though they're core on it, I think that they're going to weigh it down. They're just not the caliber of the other two, LFMZ and CMZ here. So, UV4 doesn't really do anything bad for himself. It's just that his team isn't strong enough without him. And if they end up getting sniped out or something happens, the rotations get fucked up, it just becomes a bad show. GT just really can fall flat very easily. And if UV4 doesn't have a character to switch attack to, what the fuck? That's like his best thing, all right? So he gets number 2, and then CMZ gets number 1. Yeah. Let's just mention real quickly. I've heard again, LFMZ better than CMZ. People saying he's the best in the game, number 2, whatever. I am not far off that. Matter of fact, you could easily put this and like do this, and I wouldn't disagree with you. I'm gonna be, you know, a little bit kind to UV4 and say this for now, but just note that CMZ is the reason why MZ is able to thrive as successfully as he is. It's not like he's doing anything crazy for him, but it's that allowance of freeness. CMZ is giving that rush safety, that protection from you. So you're allowed to do these crazy MZ plays and let him just dominate a match, let him be in forever and just solo games and take control of everything because he has that protector alongside him. That's obviously the intent of CMZ here, to be that protector. Again, I think he's the middle character on a team. He's not that dominant god force, he's that middle. And MZ really likes having that character on his team. I would say very easily, if you're not running MZ with CMZ, you probably wouldn't see him as top 3. You probably see him as, you know, maybe 5, maybe 4, but you're not going to see him in the top 3. CMZ gives that protection that he really, really wants to have, and he didn't get on his plat. He doesn't have extra protection. He just is still a more gauge-reliant character, but now his numbers are inflated, so he looks like a god. We've seen this time and time again. So I like that premise more so, and again, I've seen CMZ have these pop-off moments where he does outdamage MZ, and he also has that utility that's backing his, you know, goodness of the rush safety, of the faint chance, of the team paralyzed when he does die, and all these other gimmicks that that prospect of that safety allowance is what's giving CMZ that leg up over MZ. Again, maybe here I should change UV4 and MZ, maybe, but again, I'm very confident in the ability of UV4. I know UV4 does a switch attack against 13, does 2 blast cards, and that motherfucker would be dead. That's not difficult to do. That's very easy. And even if he's not on a GT team and not glazed, he can very easily do that. So I'm not going to downplay him. I think a lot of people are right now and saying, you know, top 2, both MZs. And it's like, hold on, UV4 is not shit now just because MZs are really good, because they are really good. But I think this flows best within the my current view of the meta, at least. I mean, let me know what you guys think. A little longer tier list video here, because I feel like explaining a lot of things with this one. But this is my tier list of Ultra CMC number 1, Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta number 2, LF Merge Zamasu number 3, Android 13 number 4, LF Ultra Full Power Frieza number 5. Love to be able to say that. I hope I can say nothing about him in the coming months. You know, Legends Fest, do your thing. Get that fuck out of here. Namek Goku Ultra number 6. Hope to hear nothing from him as well soon. UV4 is also toxic, by the way. Just saying. All of them are toxic. Just don't want to hear any of their names, but, you know, for now, we still have to. Gamas LF number 7. Number 8, Zenkai Kukler, LF. Number 9, Super Saiyan 3 GT LF Goku. And number 10 being Ultra Super Vegito. Do you guys agree? Disagree? What would you swap? Again, debatable spots of top 10, you know, 9, 10 area. Kefla, Bombku, and Blue UI, in my opinion. Cell even. Sure, why not? Let's just put him in the mold. I'll see you guys in the next one.